Hey, what's going on, Agents for Life? Welcome to podcast number 268, where we're going to jump into the ins and outs of interviewing, recruiting, building your team. If you're in that space, this is the podcast for you. And the reason why I'm bringing this up because there are a lot of agents now on our team experiencing a lot of growth, and they're out as they should be talking, selling appointments, and writing insurance, but also talking to friends and people and doing interviews. And so I just wanted to dedicate a podcast to that so you kind of understand how I work and some of the things that I've learned over the years. But before we jump in, quick mic drop thought for the week. All right, I love this. It's not perfection that inspires people, it's progress that inspires people. If you're used to 10 apps a week and you do 10 more apps next week, that's not much different than what you've always done, right? Every time we hit a new benchmark, we keep that, and now we have to incrementally increase. So if you're just starting out, don't feel like you have to have $1 million year to impress people. People are impressed and inspired and follow progress. And it might mean one or two apps because you've never done that before in your life. It's the guy that was 300 pounds all his life and he just lost 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds. And all of a sudden, people are noticing, right? Because it's change, it's different, it's progress. So, progress is what's inspiring, not necessarily perfection. Anyways, I love that thought. So, let's jump in. We're going to talk about interviewing. Now, as I go through this, I want you to understand an interview from my seat is much like an appointment selling insurance. And we're all used to that. So the format is going to be very similar. This is good news because if you've never interviewed before, but you've written a lot of policies from appointments, you're going to find this is very, very similar. I just plug in different questions, but the structure and the overall format is very similar. Eric likes to teach a couple of questions, and this is kind of what I'm looking for in the back of my mind. Or what everybody, I should say, everybody's asking when they show up is, can this be done and can I do it? And we answer both of those because can this be done? There's already a ton of agents doing it. Can I do it? That's up to you, but I can show you the way and we can show you what our mentorship is. So we will be there with you to help you do it. And that's really where we end. I'll talk about that in a second. But first of all, the format. So the overall structure, right? Setting the table. Okay. This should sound familiar to you if you've been running appointments. We start by setting the table. Then we go into a needs analysis and then we do underwriting, right? And then we go into an offer. We look at quotes and do an offer. And then we take the application. Okay? Here we go. Very same thing. So, setting the table, right? We're just starting out. We're going to talk about how this works. We're going to talk about why we're here. And a couple of questions that are good for setting the table is just explain. We're going to do a quick conversation. Okay. I'm going to find out if this is a good fit for us to work together. Does that sound okay to you? Get their permission, just like you do on an appointment. And then I like to lead into just a general discussion on why we're even here in the first place. Just like on an appointment, right? What has you looking for life insurance? Here we're going to ask, what was it about the video that stood out to you most? Or why are you looking into the life insurance space as a possible career move? Or have you ever run your own business before, or have you ever thought about it? I like to know if they're a business owner, or if they have that mentality, or if they're kind of looking for a W 2 job. So I want to carve that right off the top because if it's a W 2 inquiry, we want to be right up front so we don't waste anybody's time. But generally, if they've watched the video's job is to weed that out. We're up front with all the details so that by the time they get on your calendar, they've already seen all that and we can focus in a lot better and be more efficient on our conversation. So, the video, I don't really want to talk to people too much if they haven't seen the video, because otherwise I'm just spewing out the video over and over again, all the information that's already in the video. So, to save everybody's time, I'll send the video and say, here, watch this, and then let's get back together. But assuming they've watched it, that's a great question to lead. What was it about the video that stood out to you most or that has you reaching out for an interview today? Okay. Great questions. I just want to know their why. I want to know why they're here. And we're not talking specifics at this point. We're setting the table for here's what's going to happen. And then let's start the conversation. Why are you even here? So that's it. Now, if they don't know much about us or they want to clarify, I'll hit on a couple of brief topics. Okay. This is not what's going to sell for an agent. Okay, we're not after this, so I don't spend too much time, but I might satisfy by touching on. We're in the financial services industry. We do term whole life. We do living benefit life insurance, non-medical. It's lead driven. Average commissions around 500. Schedule is part-time, full-time, or anything in between. We are entrepreneurs. We're CEOs. You have to be willing to work hard, follow a system, and we're anxious to get you started soon. So those are a few bullet points, kind of general about us. Not going to spend too much time on those because that's not going to move the needle so much. What's going to move the needle is find out why they're here, and then can we help them achieve that? Can they use life insurance as a vehicle to get their dream? Financial independence, get out of my job. That was mine, right? Time freedom. Maybe they want to travel, right? They want to do something remote. They want to work from home. They want to start up their own business. They've never started a business before, and they've got that entrepreneurial spirit. Something that tells me they get it, and something that tells me they've got a bigger dream than a W-2 job or a paycheck. So those are the answers I'm looking for when I'm asking my questions. Okay, on an appointment for life insurance, needs analysis. It's top part of the application or the appointment form, right? So this is kind of more the numbers. Well, when you're interviewing somebody, needs analysis is more about their numbers, but also related to their job, their salary, and so forth. So career path and experience, I like to ask them about that. So what are you doing? What's your day job? Or what have you done up until this point professionally? What has you looking in the insurance world as a possible career move right now? I like to call them career moves instead of a job. Don't ever reference this as a job, but a career move, side hustle, right? Something like that. What has you looking into the life insurance space? What one main thing are you hoping this career move will do for you? That's a great question to ask. Okay, we're pre-qualifying them, and probably they're talking about numbers of some kind, just like we do in the needs analysis. I don't make enough money. I haven't had a raise in years, or I don't like my bonuses, or I'm not going anywhere in my career. It's a dead end, and I need to get out for XYZ. And then a little bit more specific, how much experience do you already have in our industry? That may have already come up. Do you have a license? Are you just getting started, or have you done anything as a life insurance agent before? So kind of pre-qualifying with some general career questions, where they're going, why they're looking at a career move, and if they had any experience. Okay. That's what we're calling the needs analysis. All right. Now we jump into underwriting. Okay. Got to see if they qualify. So let me ask you some questions, right, Mr. Prospect? And this is more about the soft skills, the mental toughness, right? The day to day, what we do. It's not so much specifics about their, the life insurance like we've been talking up until now. So underwriting. So let me ask you this. Are you willing to be uncomfortable for a few months while you're learning? Are you willing to be coached and follow instructions? Are you responsive, a good communicator? How do you respond when things get tough or when you have a bad week? Are you able to join our team calls? So, and are you good with people? Are you willing to learn? Are you a hard worker? Would you be coming on full time or part time? And then I also like to touch on our values. Are you willing to follow our values? Respect, ownership, relationships, toughness, attitude, and humility. We live by those. So, those are all things that are good to pre-qualify them for what we do. Now, if you show up to a normal interview at a job, they're asking you some tough questions, aren't they? This shouldn't be any different. We don't need to feel shy about asking some very pointed questions. This is what it's going to take. Here's what I need from you. For this to work, I'll do this, but I need this from you, right? So, yes, it's a volunteer army, and yes, it's commission only 1099, but we still need to set the expectation of these are some things that are going to be required in order for it to work. How do you feel about that? Those are some great underwriting questions to ask to pre-qualify them, make sure that they qualify with their health. Maybe it's more mental health. I don't know. But anyways, on an appointment, underwriting, right? On an interview, same type of a thing. But that's what we're asking on that part. And then based on what I've heard, just kind of where we bring it all together, I think you'd make a good candidate if you truly feel that way. Don't say that if you don't. And I'll talk about that, what to do if that happens. But if everything goes well and you're impressed, based on what I've heard, I think you'd make a great candidate. How do you feel about everything? That's how I would proceed with that. And then usually they're, oh no, this sounds great. I'd like to get started. What are my next steps or something like that. So if everything has been checked out all along the way, chances are they're going to be pretty excited and they're going to be ready to go. There might be, and if that's the case, go into the ICA. That's the app, right? We're going to take an application, quote unquote. We're going to send you paperwork to have you sign. That's the independent contractor agreement. By the way, when you do that, always mark everybody as unlicensed so that it comes out of the Equa system and goes into ours. It's a formality. It doesn't prevent or restrain them from anything, but we put them in as unlicensed every time so that we can handle the contracting here at our team with Jessica Miller. So just FYI. But if you're not super impressed, and this is somebody you're talking to that you're like, I'm not 100% on their answers, but they still are saying they want to move forward, then here's what I do. You can be hard-nosed and say, you know what, I don't think you're a good fit. Thanks for your time and have a good day. Boom, like a normal interviewer would. I prefer a little bit softer approach. What I do is I give them an assignment. So I'll say, you know what? That's great. I appreciate your time. Everything looks good. Here's what we're going to do next. We have a meeting. It's an open opportunity live Zoom call Thursday evening. I'd like you to attend that. And then I'd like you to get back to me after that meeting. Could you do that? It's going to be at 8 o'clock. Here's the meeting time. Here's the link, whatever. Or I'm going to send you a video. I want you to watch it, and then I want you to get back to me. Or I'm going to send you enrollment instructions on getting into the study course. Okay, I want you to go and pass your test. This is a big ask, right? It's a big ask. But once you go pass your test, once you've got your license in hand, reach back out and we'll talk about next steps after that. They don't need to know that that's not the normal way, that you're doing something a little different. But once they do that and come back, if they come back to you, they've kind of proven themselves to a different level. They might be a good candidate after all. So if you are on the fence, give them an assignment and have them get back to you. They may disappear on their own. They've self-weeded themselves. But if they come back to you, they might be a person certainly worthy of investing your time into and really getting going. So at the end, of course, take the application, get them set up, introduce them to your manager, or welcome them to the Telegram. You want to shepherd them in through the process, get them into the 6 steps if they're licensed on the Agent Builder website. If they're not licensed, plug them into our Excel solutions, all those things. And if you need help with any of those, please check with your manager. We'll help you with all those things. But onboarding is a simple process. People want to make sure that they're being taken care of and that somebody's got their back. So when you start recruiting and growing your team, adding people, you need to spend time building those relationships with people. It's not something that you just drop them in and then, hey, we'll see you at the top. We got to shepherd these people. They need our time. They need us to go in and help them along. There's a lot of things that might be confusing for people. So check in on your folks on a regular basis and make sure that they're coming through the process just fine. And with a little bit of effort and some time, you'll find yourself in a position of being a sales manager before you know it. So that's how I do an interview. It usually takes 15 minutes or so. And just like an appointment, right? And if there's an app that we're taking, another few minutes to sign that ICA and talk about next steps on getting licensed. But don't feel shy about having that confidence and that control of the interview. When you show up to a job interview, they're asking you some tough questions sometimes, right? And it doesn't have to be any different here. Yes, we're friendly and we're kind, but some of these are very specific questions about the expectations of here's what it takes to win. It's going to be tough. There's going to be, ups and downs. It's business. You're going to have to show up. You're going to have to do things maybe you're uncomfortable doing, right? Because the payoff is so big. Where there's bigger rewards, there's bigger risk and there's bigger sacrifice. And that's anywhere in life. And I don't think anybody I don't think anybody would dispute that. I think they know and understand that. And it's our job to be upfront and honest and open. And I find that doing that, people are always more grateful. I don't scare people away when I say it's tough here. I actually attract the right ones because they expect it to be tough. They appreciate the honesty. So hopefully that's helpful to some of you, all of you, if you're recruiting. awesome. Put some of those suggestions in place. I've got a link somewhere that I'm going to be posting with those questions if you want to download, if those are helpful to you when you do your interviews. But get after it. Talk to people, bring them on, do some interviews, start growing your team. Little by little, you're going to be chipping away at those bigger goals, and it's going to make tons of difference, even just a few short years from now, on where you are in your insurance journey. But thanks for listening. I hope it's helpful, and I'm always here to help out if you need anything. Take care.